Number 1. My tenant gave me a notice that they were moving out. So I decided to move into the house myself, but I needed to find a roommate. I posted on Craigslist with photos and a move-in date for the end of the month. A woman emails me questions and says she wants to see the place first. I responded and said that I agree. We can arrange that, giving her my name, the address, and a time to meet when appropriate. The tenant calls me the very next day to say he woke up at 7 a.m. to find a woman standing in his bedroom staring at him. It's a small town, and locked doors isn't always the norm. He doesn't know how long she was there, but apparently she walked in and wandered around before finding him in his bed. She told him she was moving in, and that this was her bedroom now, so she wanted to see if everything would fit. When I confronted her about doing this, she said I promised her the room, and that made it okay to just barge in and check it out. She was an older woman, clearly mental. Needless to say, I did not select her for my roommate. Number 2. My brother is fond of using Craigslist to find good electronic deals. The latest iPhone 5 was out at the time, and a dude in Akron, Ohio, was selling it for basically 30% off of retail price. Sounded too good to be true, but my brother contacted the seller anyways. He stated that he had got them for free and wanted to sell them off because he needed the money. He asked my brother to meet up with him at the local frozen custard shop at 10 p.m. My brother showed up, but after noticing a vacant lot in pure darkness, my brother drove away. The seller called my brother instantly and stated that he saw my brother drive in, but my brother needed to enter the lot, and that's where the trade will be made. So, my brother drove back, and this time he can see the headlights on of the seller's car cascading across the vacant parking lot. My brother called him back and stated that it was too dark and he doesn't feel comfortable. After a bit of talking, they agreed to meet at the closest McDonald's. My brother went there as fast as he could and entered the McDonald's. My brother called the seller and told him to come inside. The seller told my brother to meet at the back of the parking lot at the McDonald's. At this point, my brother stated he was no longer interested because it seemed like the seller had other agendas. After ordering some food, my brother and my little cousin left McDonald's to proceed to the car. Out of nowhere, this dude with a black mask on strangles my little cousin and shouts to my brother, "Give me all the money or he dies." My little cousin cried, "Quick, give him all of your money. I don't want to die." My brother left my cousin and bolted back inside McDonald's. My brother called 911 and the employees locked all the doors. I guess the guy realized what he was doing. So then at that point, he let go of my cousin and then ran off into the dark. My little cousin was let off and he stayed by the door of the McDonald's until the cops showed up. Not knowing where the guy went, they just sat there and waited until they started hearing sirens in the distance. And then they finally pulled in. No one ever saw the guy again. Seemed kind of messed up to leave a young child outside alone, but everyone was afraid of the gunman hiding and infiltrating the place. Hoping that we could help the police find out who this guy was, we tried to go back on the Craigslist, and the post was deleted. My family stopped using Craigslist after this. We never found out who this guy was, but we just know that it left nightmares for quite some time. Number 3. So, I was selling my iPod Classic on Craigslist, and a guy texts me about 5 p.m. I'd say, telling me that he wants it. So, I tell him to meet me in front of the Dunkin' Donuts. I'm from New England, by the way. Anyways, he said he would be there about 7:45 p.m. I was waiting in a sketchy town until 11 p.m. when I said, Fuck this, I'm going home. I started heading back home, and a guy almost hits me, and I veer away so I don't get hit. I keep on driving, and the car turns around and starts chasing me, like almost trying to hit my car again. So I just pull into a building which I just knew was the police station, and he didn't know. I go inside and tell the officer at this point that this person is waiting for me. Long story short, it was the buyer, and he had stalked me for about an hour before I left. The police arrested him. He had 2 guns in his car. Turns out, both were not licensed, and he was planning on trying to kill me. I'm never using Craigslist again. Number 4. I was moving out of an apartment and had a washer and dryer for sale. So I sold my washer and dryer. Ended up having separate buyers. Guy who bought the dryer was great. He was getting it for his daughter that was going off to college. I helped him load it into his truck and he gave me the payment. And I never heard from him again. But the guy who bought the washer, that was a different story. I got a text from him asking if it was still available. We haggled on the price. All normal stuff. We set a time, and I waited for him to get here. Now, I only had a week left in this apartment, so I didn't care too much about the random people coming to my home, like I normally would. Pretty much all of the stuff was moved out into the new place, but the internet wasn't turned off yet. So I was still sleeping here on an air mattress, in the old one for the time being. He ended up being a few hours late and showed up in a truck that was used for transporting large glass panes. He had like 5 people with him, all cramped onto the front bench seat of the truck. They loaded it into the truck with it leaning at a 30-degree angle against the glass pane rack, or whatever you would call it. He tried to haggle it down to a lower price, but I didn't budge. He left and I thought it was done. Later that night, I started getting these text messages from him about how it doesn't work and how he wants his money back. I told him it was written as is in the post and it was sold as is from the post, and it was working when I had it. I assume he damaged it when he rigged it into his truck or whatever. Well, after a day he starts calling me and texting me and cussing me out, texting me death threats, and have other random numbers calling me throughout the day and night. So, 2 nights after I sold it, I woke up at 3 a.m. with people banging at my door and yelling. Luckily, I lived on the 2nd floor with no easy access to my windows. I sat there for about 15 minutes while they just continued yelling through the door. I just sat there and waited and hoped that they would just think that maybe I was already gone from the place. I just stayed quiet in my apartment. So, finally, it seemed like they had just given up and left. The next day I moved the rest of my stuff out in my new apartment and never went back. I even went ahead and turned in the keys as soon as they opened up the next day. So yeah, I don't buy anything or sell anything off of Craigslist anymore. Number 5. I sold a guy some headphones on Craigslist. I had my boyfriend do the exchange because it was on his way somewhere. I don't remember at this point. The guy who bought the headphones started freaking out because he expected a female to do the exchange. He emailed me for days about betrayal of the agreement between buyer and seller because I didn't show up and be all female at him and shit. He sent me his home address because I could make everything right by stopping by and settling this. Eventually, I threatened to call the cops and blocked him. No idea what he would have done if I showed up to his place. But I'm super fucking glad that I didn't. My boyfriend said he appeared normal if squirrely was normal, but I'm pretty sure I'd end up being in his basement somewhere with squirrely adding me to his human centipede collection. Yeah, I'm probably not going to use this site again. thanks for watching. I hope you really enjoyed it. As long as everything keeps on going, then I will keep uploading. So, like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.